it. So, into the map we go. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is 4GG. He is in the blue trunks. He is playing Terran to the southwest of Daybreak. Versus his opponent, it is MVP Bang. Currently up one game in this best of 9 team series. Here in the Acer Teamstory Cup. He is in the red trunks. He is playing Terran to the northeast. Alright, 4GG's TVT, pretty damn good. Bang, harder to say. I mean, bear in mind, this guy is perpetual Code B. Yeah? He's tried multiple times to qualify for GSL, but let's be honest, there are a lot of amazing players who are perpetual Code B these days, simply because it is so hard to get into Code A. The qualifiers, Code B qualifiers, are considered to be one of the hardest events in the world. They are ridiculously difficult. The pool of talent there, and for God's sake, you got people like MVP, Jack G, I believe, as well, trying to qualify for Code A. What kind of planet are we on that MVP has to qualify for Code A? That indicates to you how hard Code A was last season and how hard the Code B, you call it Code B. Those of you who don't know, there is no real Code B. Yeah? Code B is a slang term used to describe anyone that is not in Code A or Code S. Everyone else is in Code B in Korea. And Code B is a shark pit. It is full of players, it is full of Team League snipers. A lot of Axiom, for instance, are in Code B, and yet, as you saw in the past 2 rounds of GSTL, they were killing MVP, and they were killing LGIM, the favorites to win the entire tournament. So, it clearly indicates that the actual skill gap between Code B and Code A and Code S is really not that large. But you may have players that are just specifically good at one particular matchup, or maybe 2. Maybe they have an obvious weakness, whereas Code S players, in order to stay consistently within Code S, you need great preparation, and you need to be good at every matchup, at least in some way. You can't be weak in a matchup because you can lose your groups and then get kicked down to Code A almost immediately, just because sheer luck of the draw, right? You know, you start against Protoss, you get Protoss as your first game, you end up there in the little loser bracket of the tournament, you end up against another Protoss, maybe even the same Protoss, you die, and then you're straight down to Code A if you happen to be in the round of 32. That's tough. That's really, really tough. Alright, let's see what's coming out from both of these guys. So, MVP Bang going for a factory. His opponent also going for a factory. This could be indicative of a number of things. Currently, 4GG sitting on 1 gas, as is MVP Bang. Second gas coming down for MVP Bang. Will 4GG follow up with that as well? Because if he doesn't, then that's going to indicate something of a different build here. Now, if we go by what we saw from Kurante versus Quantic a couple of days back, TBT, a very strong build available, is the so-called Hellbat drop. It is very, very powerful. Hellbat drop, of course, does require an armory, however, so that's a bit of gas. No real question about that. You also, of course, need the gas for the starport and so on and so forth. So I would say that if you want to do that, you kind of have to build an armory. 4GG is going for a command center on 1 gas, so he's going to get his CC out slightly earlier here than Bang. Although Bang is going directly into a starport, and this looks like we might see a Widowmine drop coming out from Bang. I like this build a lot because it forces a lot of scans out from your opponent. It can be dangerous if they don't notice. It can take out most of a mineral line if you manage to get the drop in. You can also drop 4 Widow Mines in total, which can destroy an entire mineral line if they happen to be targeted in the right places. They can also fail magnificently. The thing about Widow Mines is you've got to target them properly. If you don't, you rely on the inbuilt AI armory coming up from a GG. So there we go. There's no other way that can look. Yeah, that means he's going to go Hellbats. Yeah, he may go with the Hellbat drop build. He may go for a straight-up push with Hellbats, but Hellbat drop is now almost assured. So 4GG going for an expansion before Hellbat drop build instead of the other way around. This is Lucifron style. It's very, very effective in TVT. It's hard to deal with. However, this drop is going to hit before that. It is going to be scouted, though. 4GG's scouting barracks reveals his intent, and let's see if he can hold this. He doesn't really have any units to hold it with. He's got 2 Widow Mines, but they're not deployed in the right place. They're deployed at the front right now. Hellions are being recalled to the base, but they're not going to get there quickly enough. And here comes the drop. And, oh, he doesn't get it! Crucial play by 4GG. Second shot goes off, though. Some damage being done. And oh, nice pickup there by Bang. He's able to get out with that. Damage, 4 workers killed. That was nowhere near as dangerous as Bang wanted it to be. That was really well shut down. Bang does scout the intent to go Hellbat, and a Viking is on the way. Only one Viking, though. I feel that if you want to defend with Vikings against this build, based on what I saw from the Lucifron game, you need at least 2, maybe 3 Vikings. Otherwise, you can't hold it. A tank is coming out as well. Obviously, you can't really siege up against the Hellbat build because Hellbats are always going to be in your mineral line. So you're going to do more damage than good. You will still do a lot of damage with your main cannon, though. Bear in mind, of course, that these things do extra damage against armored. Hellbats are armored units. It is entirely possible that will happen. In comes the Medevac. The Viking is targeting it down already. As I said, I think you need 2 to really make this super effective. In comes that Hellbat drop. Down goes the first Hellbat. The tank may very well be the answer here. This is actually a good play here by Bang. Look at the amount of damage he's able to do to that Hellbat. Excellent micro and control. And damage done? Not a lot at all. That was not worth it. Only took out 2 workers total. The Medevac went down, and the Hellbats. This was really well shot down here. And that Widow Mine that was hiding in this area has also been destroyed. So, that is the answer. Looks like Terran were, Terran were thinking, well, what's the answer? Lucifron's Hellbat build. Well, a tank works, yeah? Tanks are very, very dangerous when undeployed against armored units, and a Hellbat does count. So, you can kill it pretty quickly. Add a Viking into that mix. I say you add a second Viking, which is exactly what Bang is doing. And then you end up in a position where you can shut these drops down completely. Bang is now going for a push. And honestly, there's only Hellbats to defend this. This is going to be really hard to stop. Marines and a couple of tanks coming into position here. 4GG needs more than that. He really does. 4GG is building more Hellbats and Medevacs. And the tank's going to come in. Look how much damage they do, supported by Marines. They devastate Hellbats. Now the deployment comes in, and GG's in a lot of trouble right now, and he might end up living up to his name. Bang is backing off as quickly as he can, trying not to take too much damage. One deployed tank will finally be surrounded, but so much damage has been inflicted. There is another Hellbat coming in, needs good target fire. Great control, great micro here by Bang. He loses at bare minimum a GG. What a great build. Bang shows his worth here already. 4GG, considered the ace for Millenium, falls in easy fashion. Good lord. So, I gotta say, that drop didn't work out all that well for Bang, but the counter build was great. He spotted the Hellbats, he knew what he was up against, and he decided that my answer to that is Viking tank, because I know you're gonna have to invest so much in these drops, and if you don't do damage, if I can kill off that Medevac very quickly, and I can kill off those Hellbats very quickly with an undeployed tank, then my counter push will be very strong, and that's exactly what happened. MVP Bang with an excellent performance. Now 2-0 in this best of 9 series for Team MVP. We'll be right back with Game 3 very shortly. Don't go anywhere.